Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us once again on the Someday is Today series within the Casually Profound series of the Size Eyes podcast. Did I get all of that correct?
You did. You
All right,
did. Perfect.
wonderful,
Better than
wonderful,
me.
wonderful. Easy Mode Coaching LLC,
Yes.
Size LLC. So thank you all for joining us. For those of you who are following along, we are planning to record podcast episodes in all 50 U.S. states. So this is state number 8 for us. Yesterday, we recorded in New Orleans, Louisiana at Cafe Du Monde, the City Park location for state number 7. So in podcast publication terms, that probably means 2 months ago and not yesterday, but at least in terms of when we're recording these, that was yesterday. Prior to being in Louisiana, we had previously recorded in Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Missouri, and Kansas. So this is state number 8. We are at Snappers Seafood here on the Gulf of Mexico in Biloxi, Mississippi, Harrison County. Tomorrow we'll record in Mobile, Alabama, as well as in Pensacola, Florida for states 9 and 10. So I'm Adam Kamak, guest hosting here for Cy. Cy, as always, it's a pleasure. Thank you for helping make this happen.
Uh, Another state, 8 out of 50, or however many that we go to. At Snappers, like you said, beautiful view in Gulfport, Mississippi. Sorry,
Biloxi.
so Biloxi. Uh, well, when you think of the big twin cities in the U.S. or in the world,
Yeah,
you think of Minneapolis, St. Paul,
right.
Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas being the better one.
Of course.
Um,
Dallas, Fort Worth.
Dallas, Fort Worth.
Uh, Maybe San Diego and Tijuana if you
Right.
want to spread across borders, or El Paso and Ciudad Juarez.
Yeah.
But then you also think of Gulfport, Biloxi, quite naturally.
Yeah.
Akron, Canton.
Yeah.
So many options here.
Yeah. And so we're ready to have a chat in the GPT.
A chat near the GPT, adjacent to the GPT, as we were in Biloxi after staying last night in Gulfport. Of course, the IATA airport code is GPT for Gulfport, Biloxi. But as we do this chat adjacent to the GPT, this chat near the GPT, we thought it would be a good idea, as we're recording here in August of 2024. We both left our traditional jobs a little over a year ago. So in my case, it was the tail end of May 2023. In Sai's case, it was in June 2023. But we both passed the 1 year mark. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to reflect on that, think about some of the takeaways that we have, some of our experiences, whether this has worked out as we had intended, and where things stand moving forward. So on that note, away we go. So Sai, provide us with a little background on your part. What was your traditional job? What were you doing, and what caused you to decide to leave that job in June 2023 on a slightly different timetable than you maybe had thought previously?
Yeah. When I was entering 2023, my priority in my mind was, all right, how can I be the best laundromat marketer out there? Which is a very specific niche. Um, and working with my coach at the time, he was like, bro, don't lose the forest for the trees. You got to get off this corporate plantation, was the terminology he used.
Ooh.
And not, him not having like context of the work that full context of like the company, the people.
Right.
And so that planted the seed, along with working with my chiropractor, to see that alignment in myself physically, which led me to feel more aligned, in my external world. So I was working at Q Laundry Laundro Lab for more than 3.5 years at the time, and coaching, chiropractic, and as well as, marketing, chiropractic, working with my coach, and then also coaching myself, other clients. I could see that I wanted to not be in that world anymore. I could see that I really enjoyed, helping young adults out and trying to figure out what they wanted to do. And so that was a mission that was very specific um, in my own journey. So it was like, I think we've talked about this before, but it was more pull factors and push factors at the time. So my first job that I left, it was more push factors. I didn't want to be there. This time when I left, last year, it was more pull factors of I liked my job that I'm going to more than I needed to get out of whatever I was in before. There was a little bit of um, I don't know what it's called, but burnout, mission creep, whatever it is, where you don't feel resonant with the work that you're doing as much anymore. And I felt that, I think after I put in my resignation, thinking that I would be there for 3 to 4 months, and ended up being 2 weeks. So I definitely had that big case of senioritis in the working world. So, and I realized that I was, very replaceable. Um, that I thought, even at a startup when, there were only 2, 3 other people who knew at, some aspect of what I was doing. It's like, oh, you can get everything handed over in 2 weeks. And, there may, like, even now a year later, there's been a handful of questions that people have asked me, texted me or whatever. But outside of that, it's crazy to see that even in a 30, 40 person startup at the time last year, it's, you're very replaceable. But yeah, so that's a little bit of the context. And now, it's been a year since I've left that job, moved back to Kansas City, living at home, and putting, I think honestly, the end of 2023, the rest of 2023 was really just like understanding or like just recovering from burnout. I didn't know that as I was like trying different things in my business, looking to grow that. But now looking back, it was like, yeah, it was actually time for me to recover from burnout, which is fine, which is good. Get that rest. And then now this calendar year, 2024, has been more in terms of work. It's like, hey, I have a bit clear idea of what I'm doing. I know where I'm going and what direction I'm heading in for the most part. So I'm sure we'll dig into some of those specifics now, but a year plus into coaching full time, and I definitely don't regret any decision I've made along the way. Yes, there's hundreds, thousands, dozens of learnings, whatever that number is. I'm sure I could list out a lot of them, but I don't regret leaving my job last year at all with the timing, and I'm really grateful for this year plus of being an entrepreneur.
So, what are some of the things about the corporate setting that eventually turned you off, rubbed you the wrong way, that you came to feel disenchanted by? And when did it first occur to you that this option to leave the traditional workforce, to strike out on your own, to start your own thing, do your own thing, that was a viable option? Had that idea occurred to you prior to your coach having these comments about not seeing the forest for the trees and all that, and leaving corporate life? Had it occurred to you prior to that, or was that a new development as you became increasingly disenchanted with the corporate world?
Yeah, so I started my business prior to coaching with that person. So there was always an end goal in mind of, all right, like hopefully this grows enough where I can support myself full time and not have to lean on a full-time job. So there was always that in mind. And even as I started the business a couple of years ago, it was like, okay, how can I make this side hustle a full-time thing? So there was always that. But I also didn't want to have set a purely quantitative and logical path to me leaving. And I think some people operate great that way. I don't think that's me right now, or that wasn't me, which is like, hey, like when you have a certain amount of money in the bank, that is going to be the trigger of me leaving my job, right? I have enough saved up. My business is making X amount that can support me and whoever else I'm supporting. Like all these in theory, like really good check marks and milestones to be hitting before you leave a stable income. But for me, it was it was mostly all emotional, and emotional has a bad rap in the corporate world. Um, and but I've made my decisions a lot based on emotions and how I feel, and I honestly wish more people did the same, because there are a lot of people who are emotionally stuck in their jobs but still physically there because XYZ reasons.
Right.
So I wish they would. For me, emotional is listening to your heart, um, and actually, because it's always telling you something. It's just a matter of, are you willing to listen to it and take
Yeah.
action on it.
And do you have the courage to listen to it and take action on it?
Yeah, and just definitely a safety net, right?
Right.
Of moving back home, not paying rent, living at home, food. I don't have to think about as much. All these things that I have the benefit and privilege of. So I'm not going to, be remiss and not mention that. But having those things in place, I think it was my duty to take that risk at the time when I was single. Um, it's like, hey, if I'm not going to do this now, there's almost going to be no better circumstances for me to take this risk.
Right.
Um, so yeah, so to answer your question directly about what were those things in the corporate world that made me leave, one of them was who I was helping, the mission, like, because basically in every business, whether it's a product business, a service-based business, you're helping someone accomplish something, right? And for us, within laundromats, what I eventually got to towards right before I resigned was I felt that I was just helping people who were, multi-million dollar net worth people increase their net worth, you know, by a few more $1 million. And and yes, we were doing a lot more than that. We're helping the communities. We are helping, uh, you know, the overall, the city, the communities, the people who, are using rundown laundromats, um, the people who are using the pickup and delivery service, freeing up time so that they can do cool stuff. But at the time, I just felt like, it didn't, that message of increasing someone's net worth marginally didn't resonate as much. Uh, Juxtaposed with helping someone feeling stuck into their jobs and like their jobs sucking their soul out of them to, oh, like I feel better in my job. It's like, hey, I find more meaning not just in my position, but in the different not clubs, but the like employee resource groups that the company provides, and having that as an outlet to make connection and find meaning, or find hobbies and passions outside of my job so I can use my stability and paycheck to explore those things, travel, etc., or to shift fields and industries and jobs entirely. So like that felt, and to make connections and have friends you can hang out with. So all those things were felt more resonant with me than staying in my corporate job, and it almost felt like a disservice to myself and to other people for me not to pursue this path that other people view as more courageous. And so for me, I didn't actually view this as more courageous at all. When you said like, hey, you have to be brave and courageous to do that, I don't think I really felt that way. It just felt like the thing that I do, that I think, the thing that it just seemed natural way, and for others it may be perceived as courageous and brave. Um, I just felt that, hey, this is the thing that I need to do, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to make this work somehow. And if I or other people view that as courageous, then and get inspiration, great.
So what was it about the setup at your previous job that put you in a position to where it felt like you were more serving the interests of people who already were fairly wealthy and helping them increase their net worth, seeing that, feeling that, more so than seeing and feeling the benefits of someone freeing up time by having their laundry taken care of for them? or the benefits of someone who doesn't have access to a laundry machine at home being able to go to a nicer, more modern laundry facility, as opposed to where they had been going? Why was it that the increasing net worth of wealthier people who would benefit from this is what was more visible, more in your purview than these other people who are also, at least theoretically, being helped by this company?
Yeah, good question. I don't know. I think one big thing was we had a screen in the office that was we had a screen in the office because one of our big aspects of our mission was, the franchisees and the customers and employees. Those are three main groups of people that we wanted to help. We had a screen in the office that had it was a scrolling PowerPoint of all the franchisees that we wanted to help, or sorry, that had already bought in, were in the process of opening their stores, already had open stores, bought licenses, whatever it was. And so it was, I think that was actually a pretty big indicator, or inflection point for me personally, which was like, hey, like these are the people that we are deciding that we want to help the most. Like we're putting them, priority number one here, and like for a lot of good reasons, right? If you don't have a successful laundromat, a successful franchise store, then it's not gonna create more sales in the future. And all these like downstream effects for the actual welfare of the business, which like 100% makes sense, right? So I'm not discounting the leadership there, right? I'm not like going against that. I'm just saying the byproduct of that on my end was me feeling that way, where it's like, hey, we're saying, these are the people that we're helping, and that also imposed upon my experience when I'm at the laundromat, like connecting with the employees, like the frontline employees, the store manager, the actual customers who are using it, the troubles that they're having, the great experiences that they're having, whatever those are. I felt like there was more opportunity to showcase that, and to lean on that and build more organic, bottom up, grassroots based type of visibility. That was not just seated at a desk and doing that work versus like this top down version of that. So I think that screen, as small as that was, of like, a screen in the office, I think that told me what people were valuing the most, and I didn't fully resonate with it.
Did you, because it was a startup, so this is different than if you were working for a much larger, more established company, did you view a possibility at any point of shifting that focus a little bit and trying to introduce some more of those bottom-up mentalities and bottom-up aspects of the business, as opposed to the more top-down approach? Or did you feel like that sort of shift, even on the margins, was largely cut off, and was not something that you could really push for in your role?
Yeah, I don't think I was starting to get into the mindset of like, hey, what do the customers think? And I'm not like the perfect demographic and the background and lived experiences of a lot of the customers of laundromats, the communities that Laundrolab was serving. So, like I had to learn that, like, hey, like what are these customers thinking? What are they actually saying to us? What are they not saying to us, but saying to their friends or other employees, or whoever? So I had to put myself in that situation more. And, looking back, like, I do a lot of things differently than what I did, but I feel like I did the best as I could.
Yeah.
At the time. So, yeah, I don't think I have a great answer for that right now. I'd have to probably do some more reflection on that.
Okay.
But I don't want this to be a full interview.
Yes.
Yes. So I guess what has been your experience in the last year since leaving your teacher role of 5 years, right? 6 years?
Yeah, 5 years.
5 years. Um, and yeah, give us some context about that past career and what you're doing, what you've done in the year or so since then.
Yeah. So I was a high school history geography teacher in the Houston area for 5 years. I did not get into teaching because it was some sort of dream of mine when I was a kid or because it was a lifelong passion. I got in there because I went to college because everyone else went to college. And then I got a degree and needed to do something. And I know in a future episode, we're going to talk about that whole notion and construct a little bit more. But teaching was a profession that both of my parents had done for a long time. They encouraged me to get into it. For better or for worse, the bar to enter teaching is rather low. And that's to say that I could get a job rather quickly without having been an education major or taken any education classes in college. Right, so in a few months, go through a certification process, start applying for jobs, get a teaching position. So I got into teaching. When I was going around interviewing at schools, in the back of my mind, I was thinking this is 2 years and out. So I was there 2 years, and towards the end of the second year, we went home for spring break, and we never came back from spring break. The world shut down around us, and something that had originally started as a 2-year thing became longer. I felt like at that time it didn't make sense to leave a stable income, a reliable job, and also a job that was going to give me a place to go and interact with other people every day. In a world where in-person interaction was hard to come by and was being strongly discouraged, this was something that would maintain in-person interaction. There were also things that I still wanted to accomplish there. Students that I had started to work with that I wanted to continue to work with, programs that I had wanted to start, contemplated starting, begun working on that I wanted to flesh out a little bit more. So I didn't leave after 2 years. I stayed 3 more and I was there for 5 years. And the number that I was going to be there would fluctuate. 2 years is initially the number. At one point I was thinking 4 years, like the freshmen that I taught my first year, I would graduate, quote unquote, with them. Then it became 6 years was the number because there were quite a few things attached to that first class of students, the freshman class coming back from the COVID summer. There were a number of different things that I was starting that seemed to connect with students in that class in some way that 6 years, which would have brought us to May, June of 2024. There were reasons why I thought that would be a natural jumping off point. But during the summer prior to my 5th year, so we're looking at June and July of 2022, I really started revisiting this. And by this point, I'd taken on so many extra responsibilities, even more responsibilities that were going to be added for that upcoming school year. And during my 4th year of teaching, I was probably working 80-hour weeks, insufficient sleep. Yes, I was doing great things and feeling great about stuff, but like I would take students to a competition. We would have all kinds of successes and victories. And then the next day I'd be taking all kinds of Advils because I'd have headaches and I'd be lying in bed not feeling well because I was just so physically drained and exhausted from all the tasks and responsibilities and all the prep work I had going into that. And I always felt like I was perpetually behind. I had so many things on my plate that things like grading and lesson planning, maybe I wasn't able to get as far out in front of that as I would have wanted because of all the other clubs, teams, programs, leadership roles, different things that I was doing there. So I started revisiting this the summer between my 4th and 5th year. And I was on vacation traveling around the Northeast. I was going through upstate New York, walking around some places in Rochester, New York of significance in my family background. I had never been to Rochester before, but for relative generations above me, that's an important city. And I was just walking around reflecting, and I texted one of my friends. I was like, hey, should this be my last year coming up? Immediately she called. She and I talked about this for a while. And I was thinking, yeah, this is probably going to be last year. And then I wavered back and forth. But then the other thing was she wanted to tell me that I wasn't going to have a proper classroom the following year. So after, with all this stuff going on and all these things that I needed to do, like I was going to be teaching a new course for me, an AP course for the first time. That's a tremendous amount of work. Running all sorts of programs with 70, 80 students, where there were a dozen other faculty members that I was working with. Overseeing curriculum for world geography, and being sort of a supervisor to other world geography teachers, and teaching all sorts of other classes, and having to keep track of budget numbers and fundraising connected to different programs. That's a lot of stuff. So now I was being told that I had to, in a very short period of time, 1 week window or whatever, when we were back on campus, tear everything down from my old classroom, move everything into a converted computer lab in the library. By the way, this is like 20 to 30 degrees colder than the rest of the school. And when I complained about that, another administrator told me I would just have to wear a winter coat to work every day. It also was not immediately accessible from the main hallway, like anyone would have to cut through the library to get to this place. So that I was at the whim of whether the doors were locked or unlocked, and them constantly changing rules for library access, which would affect the ability for students to come into my makeshift freezing cold converted computer lab for tutoring, for club activities. There's a lot of stuff. And although there were definitely a few moments where I reconsidered during that school year. And there were times, like the first day of school, everyone's back. It's nice to see everyone. But I never got over the idea that I had been working 80-hour weeks before that. The fifth year, it was 85 to 90 hours because I'm building an AP course from scratch. So some of the other things that maybe got simpler, that got a lot harder. Doing that, getting up crazy early in the morning, 4:30 every morning, staying in that school till 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, still having more stuff to do at home, giving up my Saturdays for competitions and tournaments, doing all kinds of things. And that's my recognition. That's my appreciation. I was like, yeah, we're done. It was probably a good thing that happened, because as I said, I was thinking about hanging around for year 6. Once that happened, it forced my hand, and I was like, okay, year 5 is the end. So it guaranteed I got out of there sooner. So it was good that happened, but it really certainly soured my intentions on working a traditional job with traditional employers ever again. I saw a lot of flaws in administration at the school level, at the school district level. There are administrators that I like. There are administrators at other schools that I like. There are also plenty of administrators at other schools I didn't like, who I interacted with. Not going to name names, obviously, but the idea of striking out and doing my own thing, which was something that had been appealing to me ever since I was in college, and I realized that was actually an option and something that could be done. It felt like more and more of a necessity. And now anytime I have misgivings about my path and start thinking about whether I should pursue a full-time job, the recognition that I would have a lack of control, and that I would be potentially in situations I don't want to be in, help me refocus and further commit to wanting to build my own thing. So it was definitely time. Lots of great accomplishments that 5th year, lots of great connections, relationships, continued building on, all sorts of additional things to put on my resume, but it was time. Certainly one regret I have is the way that I carried out my leaving. Although I tried not to tell too many people too soon with any kind of definitive answer. Obviously people talk, word spreads, it doesn't get contained, and I was surely dropping many hints. So in hindsight, I probably should have held off a little bit and strung that along more and waited longer. But what's done is done. There was certainly a sense of relief and peace of mind once I went in and put the resignation button in the system, knowing that the end was in sight. So from this last year, there's certainly been a recovery period.
Do you want the
I felt like I was going 200 miles per hour all the time when I was in that job. You don't go from that to a normal life, normal balance immediately. And initially I thought, well, I was always going 200 miles an hour before, I'm going to go 200 miles an hour now. It doesn't work that way. And I had to remember what it's like to sit there and do something for me that I enjoy, and not be bogged down by the fact that there are 12 other things that I need to do.
The first one? Okay.
Be able to go to a play or a game or a concert and enjoy it and not be thinking about the 8 work-related tasks I have to do when I get home. Or be able to sit there and watch a movie or a football game or go walk in a park or something like that and not feel like, oh, I can't do this because I need to be doing these 6 things for work. From a health standpoint, like getting more sleep, better sleep, eating better, getting exercise. I didn't lose as much weight over the last year as I had hoped, but definitely lost some. So it wasn't going to be as simple as just jumping right into the next thing. I had to feel human again, recover my sense of humanity, my sense of hope. I've quoted from Frozen several times over the last year plus. For the first time in forever, at least I've got a chance. Right? And that's kind of what it felt like. I actually had a chance to build the life I want. Now, what that is has been a question at times. Now, I haven't always been sure exactly what I want that life to look like. At least there's a chance to do things I want and accomplish things I want. And I was helping a lot of people as a teacher, continue to find ways to help people, to assist others, certainly, but also help myself and be there for myself. There were a lot of moments where I felt like I was there for everyone else and not there for them. And recalibration and reconfiguration of that paradigm is necessary. And we'll talk more about that when we talk about friendship, either in Mobile or in Pensacola. It's a quasi-related topic. But had to figure out how to be there for myself first, after neglecting myself for so long. So it was time. There were also a lot of bureaucratic structures. A lot of times where I felt like things were made unnecessarily difficult. Things that should have been so obvious that all parties involved, administrators, teachers, people in the district office, students, parents, that they would all benefit from this sort of thing. And basic things that I felt like there'd be way too many hurdles. Way more people that I need to email to get answers. Way more forms that I need to fill out. Way more people that I need to contact. And someone else could have sent a 2-sentence email on my behalf. Better position to do it and not feel like they were overstepping their bounds, gotten the answer for me. Or in a lot of cases where I feel like people should have already known the answer to the questions I was asking instead of just sending them off to find it. Or people not responding to emails or texts at all, which is frustrating in a personal and a professional capacity. That certainly happened. Having to ask the same question from the same person 7 times. But it was a necessary change. And although maybe my bank account suggests otherwise, I feel like I'm in a much better spot now than I was 14, 15 years ago.
Yeah. So now having the advantage of 14, 15 months of perspective afterwards, what things have you learned and done, insights gained about yourself, about your ventures that you didn't have a year plus ago?
Yeah, I mean, there's some basic ones that should seem obvious, but I didn't notice. It never occurred to me, right? But don't sacrifice sleep. Make sure that you're getting enough sleep. When I was a kid, I was always taking ridiculous course loads, 5, 6, 8 classes at a time. So I being involved in marching band and all sorts of other activities, so I was regularly sacrificing sleep to get through everything. That's certainly something I've learned. Make sure you get enough sleep. Make sure that you have free time to yourself. Make sure that whatever the activity is, playing basketball, going for a run, playing an instrument, taking a language learning class, watching a movie, whatever it is, working on art. Some of these activities are more appealing to me than others, on a personal level. But no matter what the activity is for the person, make sure that you create time to be there for yourself. Taking care of yourself, getting exercise, eating healthy, oral hygiene, so flossing and brushing, things like that. All these sort of real basic things, but it can add up and snowball and escalate very quickly. How many of these basic things that maybe seem obvious can disappear from your routine, and then you have to add them back. It's a lot easier just to go work out or get exercise every day than to be inconsistent about it and then have it fade away as something that you feel is unnecessary and then have to purposely add it back. Right? I'm having to purposely add this back. And some days that's easier said than others. So being there for yourself, taking care of yourself, that's certainly been an insight. Another insight, I guess, this is related, but balance. Feeling like you're doing good, meaningful, purposeful work that helps and benefits others and helps yourself, but also having space to have a social life, to have a healthy lifestyle, to have personal time, right? Not just putting everything in the work basket or in the money basket. Of course, there's not much money in teaching anyway, so I guess I wasn't getting paid for a lot of the extra stuff that I was doing at all. In fact, it was the opposite, having to pay out of my own pocket for some of this stuff, for the privilege of people not responding to my emails and not answering basic questions.
What an amazing privilege that is.
Right? Exactly. But yeah, the need to have all these different buckets in your life. And when you neglect some, they don't fix overnight. Right? It's not like work is a mess, social life is a mess, and you don't have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, your bank account is getting depleted, and it's like you just change one variable and snap your fingers and all gets fixed. Right? It takes time, but aspiring to have all of those things, and ideally having all of those things working in tandem and kind of feeding off of each other, that's very important. There's still things like maintaining relationships, helping people you care about, being there for people you care about, right? The value of those sorts of things. There were certainly moments in the first several months after leaving teaching that I didn't really know where I was turning, where I was headed, there are people who, like you, were very much there for me. There are other people who maybe weren't, and there are other people going through all sorts of times, all sorts of circumstances in their lives who I make sure to be there for. Right? So the importance of that, of having those good, strong friendships, relationships, very, very important. And then the desire for flexibility. Right? The idea that I can create my own structure, that I can do what I want, when I want, work on what I want, work on things that matter to me, that matter to people I care about, that matter to ideas that I care about, interact with who I want to, when I want to, set a schedule that I want, be able to travel when I want, as we discussed in our New Orleans episode. Like the idea that it could be a Tuesday afternoon and I'm wandering around downtown Miami. This is a Tuesday afternoon right now. We're sitting here on the beach in Gulfport, Biloxi, right? Like the school I was at, this is the second day of school for them for the 24-25 school year. So I'm not having to worry about who's on my roster that doesn't belong there and telling the kids that they have a test in 2 weeks and responding to 300 emails and communicating with parents about open house and all the other side. I'm not doing that. We're sitting here on the beach, the Gulf of Mexico in Biloxi, Mississippi. It was pretty nice.
There's worse places to be.
There are. So the importance of flexibility, but also the responsibility that comes with that, and making that work and figuring out how to build the life you want around that, which is easier said than done, but certainly is something of tremendous value. So I'm sure I'll think of more insights as we go along. But what are some of your insights and takeaways that you haven't talked about yet in this conversation?
Yeah, I've used this phrase before, at least in our individual chat. I don't know at some point on our podcast, but the never-ending weekend.
Yes.
It's felt like a never-ending weekend, and I think I might have said it, in June. I might have said it June last year, and at various points throughout last year and this year. But it has continued to feel like a never-ending weekend, in the sense that some days are really busy, some days are really relaxed. And this cycle of, in my mind, it's like play, work, and rest. Some days are heavy work, some days are heavy play, some days are heavy rest. And so like being responsible and autonomous for that time and energy is not something you're taught, and I wasn't taught it. And if it's like time management, and you're focusing on like, hey, how much, and it's productivity driven, like how much stuff can I fit in to doing in a certain amount of time. And again, that goes into this burnout culture that we have and that we experience. So this idea of a never-ending weekend, I had to learn how to actually balance my time in a way that serves me. Like, how much energy do I want to devote to exercise and overall health and wellness? And that's something that I've been, that's a big part of my identity now, where I will work out, 5 times a week at least. And most of the time I'll do like every day a week. At least something, for at least 10 minutes. So that habit is still there. How am I devoting time to my friends and family, so my community? Whether it's Kansas City based, whether it's virtual, whether it's new people, whether it's people I've known for a while. That's been important for me. When do I do my work? In this corporate world, it's, hey, you get up, you get ready, whatever, you go to the office.
Where you do your work.
Right, exactly, yeah. And you do it from 9 to 5 or 8 to 6, whatever those hours are, and then you go back home and you go on with the rest of your day. And some places demand that, and that makes sense for it, like a school or some other places. But with the ventures that we're leading right now, that's not the case. We can get work done at 10 a.m., at 10 p.m., at 2 p.m., at whatever times of the day. For most things, we can do it basically any part of the day, minus like maybe having meetings with people. And even then, that's like half a day probably available to us. So this never-ending weekend, it's like, when do you want to do stuff? Where do you want to do it? How long do you want to do it? That's been a big part that I've learned that. And for the first few months actually that I left, I think we were talking about this, I was tracking my hours of what time frame, and I'll retroactively do it on my calendar. Like, how long did I work? How long did I answer emails? How long did I have a meeting? How long did I do did I work out? How long did I journal? Whatever it was. Those things, at least doing that initially for the first 1-2 months of it, helped me get me into that habit of, okay, where's my time going? Because it's easy to lose track of the hours in a day when you don't have that structure inherent within a job. So that was actually very big for me. So for anyone watching, listening about transitioning from corporate, where you have that structure, to somewhere where you set your own hours, actually keeping track of those hours and energy is, I would say, very important. I think that's a great tool for that. Also, something I've learned is, and this is one of the reasons why I left as well, is the people that I wanted to meet and talk with, there's no structure in it. And so it goes both ways, where you have the freedom to interact with your friends a lot of the time. You have the freedom to reach out to people that you may not have otherwise. You have an excuse as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as an author, as a podcaster, whatever it is, to leverage the title that you have to get into the rooms of people that you want to meet. So as an entrepreneur, I can have be in rooms where there are also entrepreneurs, and I maybe wouldn't have been able to do that if I was just in my 2 laundry role, right? It's like as a founder of Easy Laundry Coaching, I can do that, right? But that also gives me the freedom to have coffees whenever, go to events at whatever time without really. It's a fully open calendar rather than being minimized to before 9 a.m. and after 5 p.m. and feeling like you're doing stuff behind someone's back if it wasn't a 9 to 5. So I did some stuff, like I had a few like the
Well, we went to Co.
yeah, we did. We went to Co. But even like I was built when I was first took Lauren Widrick's side hustle, Start Your Side Hustle, which was like build up your side hustle. It was Tuesday afternoon. It was weekday afternoons, like during lunch hour. So then I went into the conference room at work and would eat lunch, but then also be on a call, listening in and improving, building my business, whatever it was. But even then I was looking over my shoulder to see what am I going to get caught, more or less. But like it feels great not to have to worry about that sort of thing. Another lesson is goes towards journaling and the emotional insights that you actually have time and space for, as when you are not bounded by the corporate world. And you can still do it. Obviously you can do it without having to leave a corporate job, but it just feels more expansive and you have more flexibility to do that. So I gain a lot of insights and grow a lot through my journaling, and I have a lot of like writing sessions, and a lot of those are at 10 a.m., at 2 p.m., at 5 p.m., whatever it is, maybe at night before I go to sleep, whatever those are. And those are, I feel more relaxed doing those when there's no pressure of like having to answer emails. There's no pressure of, I gotta like do this for my, like something for work. So I would highly recommend when someone is transitioning from corporate to the entrepreneurial never-ending weekend life, like figure out what you want to do, figure out like build your lifestyle, and then go from there. Because like I had wanted to journal going into it, and I've been able to journal a lot. Wanted to podcast, create content, and I'm able to do that. I had wanted to coach people, I've been doing that. I've wanted to write a book, the process of publishing that. I wanted to do workshops, I'm doing that. I wanted to build in-person community, I'm doing that. So all these things, yes, am I making 6 figures? Not yet. But I feel like I'm well on my way, and I've had that mindset.
Well, in my case, I wasn't making 6 figures before, so that's...
Well, neither was I. But yeah, so it's like building the lifestyle first, and then everything else will follow. And there's examples of counter examples to that, but that's what I feel. Where do you want to take this next?
Yeah. Well, how are we doing on time?
10, 15 minutes.
10, 15 minutes. All right. So let's maybe do this. And we'll both answer.
Yeah.
What have been some successes in the last 14, 15 months? What have been some shortcomings or things that we had thought we would have accomplished but didn't, or wish we had accomplished in the last 14, 15 months? And then what are some things that we're intending to accomplish in the next 12 months?
Yeah. So wins for me, like my health. I don't think I was actually looking at some pictures last year, like in August before I moved back. I was definitely I want to say I was fat, but I was definitely chubby.
Well, I would say I was fat. Looking at pictures from a year ago, I would say I was fat.
I haven't seen those pictures.
What was that?
I haven't seen those pictures, but...
Okay, we'll find some. I still need to lose more weight, but at least it's trending in the right direction.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was like, oh, I looked a little... And it was like shirtless pictures too, because we were doing an ice bath.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's a little chubby. And I remembered, but I was like, okay, that's good to get that perspective. I feel different, because I personally don't weigh myself. I'll do it for fun, but not necessarily as a way of measuring my health.
Right.
So I view it as like, how am I feeling? Like, am I feeling good? Am I feeling stronger? Am I feeling longer endurance? whatever measures of fitness. So from that lens, health has been a pretty big victory. Eating more healthy, like at home, like working out very regularly, like that's been a big win overall. Also, gaining in-person community in Kansas City, huge win. So many people that I didn't know a year plus ago. Now they're just like putting myself out there. I now have a network of people who are like, oh, is there someone in education in Kansas City? I know this person. Is there someone in who's ecosystem building with entrepreneurs? Oh yeah, look this guy up. Do I know a business broker? For someone who I want to connect, someone selling or buying a business. All these different areas that you generally wouldn't meet unless you knew them prior, or like if that was your industry. Like, oh yeah, it's kind of cool to have that network. So building that in-person community. Big win is obviously also not being single anymore. Having moved back to Kansas City, being in a relationship now for more than 9 months. That's been huge. Obviously not just like from the being single versus being in a relationship aspect, but just like being more emotionally intelligent, having someone to cherish memories with.
And getting her to learn more airport tips.
Right.
That's what a big difference.
Right, exactly. So one day, we actually did, on our road trip, we did the, I haven't finished it actually, so don't spoil anything, but the European cities naming thing, we did it one day for like 30 to 40 minutes before she fell asleep because it was so boring for her. But I got to like 70 or 80 cities so far, so hopefully still have a ways to go. But
when you say the European cities, you mean like the game that I was saying?
Yeah, exactly. Naming as many European cities as you can, no time limit.
You have a ways to go.
I know. You'll definitely win, but if I get 150, I'll be good. So like, and then also that's benefited my coaching of being more emotionally intelligent, allowing me to use my intuition more and not just use the entire hour of coaching to talk. Not me talking, I was only talking, but using that as a space to experience ourselves with meditation, with breathwork, with movement, with Tai Chi, whatever that looks like. So bringing in different practices into there, like that's viewing our relationship, like me and her, our relationship, like me being a founder, if you will, having an owner's mindset, being this ownership mindset towards this relationship. Like that's been actually very helpful in my business as well. Obviously getting more on brand, creating a brand, and actually starting to get more on brand, and I'm finishing on my website, so saivawesome.com, same website, but different feel, different look, more professional. So that's been a huge victory for me. Getting some apparel, which I will be wearing soon once I go back to Kansas City later this week.
Yeah, you emailed everyone on your list saying that you would be wearing Easy Mode Coaching apparel every time we saw you in the future.
Yes. Maybe I'll Photoshop it on or something. Yeah, I mean those are the big things, and then creating in-person community, like I mentioned, but then also being like not just being part of communities, but me actually creating those as well. Whether it's the Quarter Life on Easy Mode meetup group has been a big one. So if you're in Kansas City, hit up the Quarter Life on Easy Mode meetup group, young adults. We have discussions, we have workshops. Probably in the future, at some point later this year or next year.
What's up, man?
What's up?
You do with it?
We're good.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. So like, whatever it is.
You don't edit that out.
Of course not. Of course not. We're living everything in. So those have been a lot of the victories. So those are the victories. I'd say going forward, looking to publish my book. So that's a victory in the past, but also going forward here, publishing my book, being able to like share the message of investing in yourself in a cohesive manner. coherent manner with young adults and youth who need it. I think that's gonna be huge for me. And I'm really looking forward to being a long-term multitasker. Just like working as a consultant with some folks, working as a coach with young adults, working as being an author, being a writer, continuing to hone my writing craft, working as a speaker, a workshop facilitator. So like, I really feel this next 12 months and beyond, is going to be me diving deeper into these lanes that I've set the foundation for the last 1, 2, 3 years. So I'm like really excited for what the future's going to hold. What about you?
Wonderful, yeah. So accomplishments from the last 14, 15 months. I haven't lost as much weight as I would have liked, but I have lost some, so that's been an accomplishment. Gotten a lot more sleep, eating better, getting more exercise than before, not enough, but at least trending in the right direction. Having some free time and remembering what it's like to have free time and time to myself. Started the Places and Profiles podcast, placesandprofiles.com. I have not been as consistent with publishing at this point as I would have liked. Hopefully by the time this episode is published, I will have been way more consistent on Places and Profiles. I shift into a weekly setup with that.
In that case, I'll do it this week.
There you go. I started my new high school quiz bowl circuit. That's gone quite well, so I'm pleased with that. I feel like I have a lot more clarity on what path I'm heading on, so I'm looking to do some career coaching. So my Career Change Navigator program, I'm going to roll that out in the next few months. Do some one-on-one career coaching as well. Get that rolled out. Starting my new podcast, The Adam Kamak Show, where my plan right now is to do 2 episodes a week interviewing people about their journeys and stories to doing things that they love and find fulfilling and enjoy. So I'm kind of spanning the bridge here between things that I've accomplished and things that I will accomplish. But I think having the clarity and recognizing that that's what I want to do is an accomplishment. Right? And then what I intend to accomplish over the next 12 months will be actually doing these things, making them happen, making them be successful. But certainly some accomplishments with that. I've done a lot of traveling over the last year, as we talked about on the episode that we recorded yesterday. That who knows when that will be published in comparison to this one. But I mean, the last year, 14, 15 months alone, I've been on several trips. Some seeing family, some seeing friends, internationally. Went to Argentina recently, to Fiji and Samoa. Went to last summer, Italy, Vatican City, France, Spain.
Don't forget Hawaii earlier this year.
Well, I'm getting, that's not international.
Oh, yes.
Yes, went to Hawaii, which is the only state I hadn't been to, so I've now been to all 50 states. And my first U.S. territory, going to American Samoa. So lots of travel, lots of opportunities to stay connected, reconnect with people, see and explore new places. Did a couple of weekly basketball leagues. Didn't play as well as I would have liked, but I was kind of getting back after that. Done some yoga classes. Started a couple of meetups myself, Houston Career Change meetup, Career Change in Houston. And I've also been to more meetup events. I probably went multiple years without going to any meetup events whatsoever. But in addition to having 2 of my own meetup events, like I've been to the Taco and TED Talk one, met some interesting people through that. Done some that have involved walking around different parts of Houston. So that's been pretty cool. So just being more active, trying to do more things, having to be more purposeful and intentional about the things I'm doing, but doing more things as well. So that's been good. So lots of accomplishments. Still don't have a girlfriend, right? That's something I hope for. That'll happen. Maybe I haven't lost as much weight as I would have had hoped. Okay, over the next year we'll fix that. Continue on the progress. Be more consistent about publishing podcast episodes, about working out, about some of these things that I've been better about, but not where I would like. Continue to work down that path. Certainly hope that for the next year. So from when we revisit this conversation at the end of August 2025. I hope that I will have hit on the six-figure mark by then. We'll see if that happens. I'm really ambitious, but at least be well on that trajectory. But I feel like although there have certainly been a lot of bumpy patches, and a lot of times when I wasn't sure what I was doing, where I was going, where I felt like the world was against me, people weren't there for me, I didn't know what I was doing, all those sorts of things, I feel like it's been a very positive last 14, 15 months. Built out my network a lot. Okay, I went to Craft and Commerce conference in Boise, met all kinds of people there, met people in Houston, some of your contacts from Charlotte that I've been put in touch with. Will have some calls with people that people that I've interviewed on different profiles. So, building out a network that is not just in the education that spans across several different areas and has more of an entrepreneurial bend to it. So that's certainly been an accomplishment. On a day-to-day basis, I probably don't accomplish as much as I would like. I heard someone, I can't remember if it was Chris Gillibo or Pat Flynn, both of whom I adore and admire. But I heard one of them, I think it was Gillibo probably, commented once that you never, I'm going to get the wording a little off here, but basically you never get as much done in a day as you hope for, as you think you will, but you always accomplish more in a year than you think you will. And I think that's probably been the case. On a day-to-day basis, there are all sorts of items on my to-do list that I don't get to. But over the last year, there are certainly quite a few things that I accomplished. Not as much, not as many in some areas as I would have hoped for, but when looking at the totality of it, it has been a successful year. And this next year will be even more successful as I have more clarity and more intention in what I'm doing, and more self-imposed discipline and structure.
Hell yeah. I think we're on, the horizon is over there, we can see it. So I'm trying to make something really deep here with connecting the ocean and the Gulf. We're just looking out at the water and we're just having that chat GPT.
A chat.
Near GPT.
Adjacent to GPT, near GPT.
The world is our oyster. There's probably some oysters out here.
I think there are some at the menu at this restaurant. The place we went to last night.
Right, and the place that I tried some oysters 2 days ago in New Orleans. I guess I'll let, since you're the host of this one.
Yeah.
I'll let you conclude with any final remarks or anything that you want to touch on before we wrap up at Snappers.
Sure. Well, of course, we want anyone who's stuck it out for this long to, of course, go to our websites. So, AdamCamac.com, AdamCamac.com. That's my website. So by the time you're listening to this, presumably the Adam Camac show will have been launched. More blog posts, articles up there. Information about coaching events is that I offer. In-person meetup events in Houston, all sorts of other things. And then I mentioned earlier, Places and Profiles podcast, so placesandprofiles.com is the website for that. And then less likely that anyone listening will feel the urge, the compulsion, the need to go to this one, to tcqt.org. If you know someone who's a high school student in Texas who likes answering trivia questions, that's the place to go.
That's not everyone?
Well, I'm a former high school student in Texas. But yeah, Adam Camac, CAMAC.com, AdamCamac.com, that's the main place to go. And then, of course, for Sai Vasam, VASAM, so SAIVASAM, SaiVasam.com. And I want to thank everyone for joining us on the Someday is Today sub-series of the Caption Profound series of the Sai's Eyes podcast, which is under the umbrella of Easy Mode Coaching LLC. And at least when I'm on here, also Adam Kim at Content LLC.
Joint ventures.
Yes. But I want to thank everyone for joining us, and we will see you next time from Mobile. So thank you all.
Appreciate it.